Sit down. Let's talk. You've probably seen it. A guy on YouTube draws two moving average lines crossing each other and says, boom, buy here, sell there. That's how you win in Forex. Really? I've been a broker for 40 years. I've watched traders use EMA crossovers like they were gospel. Green line crosses red line equals enter trade. Red line crosses green line equals exit trade. Simple? Yes. Effective? Sometimes, but not for the reason you think. See, let me tell you something most won't. Indicators don't predict the market. They just show you what already happened. Imagine you're driving a car by only looking in the rearview mirror. That's what EMA crossovers are. You're not looking at what's coming. You're staring at what's already gone. And the three-touch trend line. Let me break it down. One touch, two touch. Now traders wait like cats for the third touch. They draw a line and say, if it bounces here, I'll buy. Or if it breaks, I'll short. But here's what they don't tell you. Everyone else is watching that same exact line. You're not early. You're not special. You're standing in a crowded room where the smart money is hunting. I've seen it play out 1,000 times. Retail traders get lured into a textbook setup. The market makes a fake move just to grab their stops, then flips direction. Boom, they got played. Indicators are tools, but they're not maps. They can't tell you where the gold is. They just show you where others have already dug. That's why successful traders, the quiet ones who last 10, 20, 30 years, they don't rely on one crossover or trend line. They understand context. They ask, why is price moving here? Not just, what pattern do I see? Let me leave you with this. If all it took was drawing a line and waiting for a cross, don't you think hedge funds would be doing that? They're not. They're hunting. They're manipulating. They're thinking way beyond colors and shapes. So no, EMA crossovers and trend lines are not worthless, but depending on them alone, that's trading with a blindfold. And trust me, I've buried traders who refuse to take it off. Let me ask you something. If a signal tells everyone to buy at the same spot, who's selling to them? Think about it. You got 10,000 retail traders, all staring at the same crossover, all pressing buy when the green line cuts above the red. But every buyer needs a seller. So who's on the other side? The smart money, the one that placed the trap. You're entering when they're exiting, because by the time the crossover happens, they already took their position. They used you as liquidity. You ever notice this? Right after the perfect EMA signal, the price spikes your way for a second, then crashes the other way like a truck with no brakes. That ain't random. That's how liquidity harvesting works. These indicators aren't magic. They're delayed. They confirm after the move already started. They say, hey, a trend is happening. But by then, the real entry was 15 candles ago. Now listen closely. This is what I teach to my tightest circle of traders. The market doesn't move because of indicators. Indicators move because of the market. Read that again. Traders flip it backwards. They wait for confirmation from something that follows price. That's like waiting for smoke to tell you there's fire, when the fire's already burned the house down. And trend lines, those neat lines everyone draws like they're drawing art on TradingView. Here's a dirty truth. Most of them are completely subjective. You could draw 3 different trend lines on the same chart, and all of them would look valid. Does that sound like a strategy or a guessing game? Now don't get it twisted. I'm not saying these tools are useless. I'm saying they're reactive. You want to be proactive. That means asking things like, where will others enter? Where are stops resting? Where will the crowd feel confident, and where will they be wrong? Because profitable trading ain't about being right. It's about knowing when others are wrong and being positioned to profit from that. Indicators don't teach you that. They just blink after the move's made. So if your entire edge is based on a moving average crossing, let me be honest with you. You're late every time, always. And in trading, being late, being bait. You want to hear a painful truth. Most indicators, they're built for backtesting, not front running. Let me explain. In backtests, everything looks clean. The crossover hits perfectly. The trend line holds. The RSI signals overbought and price drops like magic. But that's hindsight, not trading. In live markets, price moves messy. Lag kicks in. You enter late. You hesitate. Then the perfect setup turns into a perfect loss. Why? Because the market doesn't care about your tools. It moves based on liquidity and manipulation, not geometric beauty. You see that third touch on your trend line? Smart money sees it too. So what do? They bait you in. They let it tap the line, then spike price through it, just enough to trigger your stop. And then, boom, it reverses in your direction. Not by mistake, by design. These traps are everywhere. You know why? Because tools like EMA, Trendlines, RSI, they're common knowledge. And in trading, common knowledge is the enemy of profit. Let me give you a metaphor. Using only indicators is like driving a car by only watching the rearview mirror. Sure, you see where you've been, but you can't see where you're going. And by the time you realize there's a wall ahead, you've already hit it. Want to trade like a real pro? Stop trying to follow price. Start anticipating behavior. Ask, where are the emotional decisions? What looks obvious? Who's being set up? That's where edge lives, not in the lines, not in the math, but in the trap. Because retail trades logic, smart money trades emotion. And these indicators, they map logic, but markets are emotional. So the more you depend on them, the more predictable you become. And once you're predictable, you're no longer trading, you're target practice. You ever seen a magician pull a coin from behind someone's ear? That's what indicators do to new traders. They distract you. They show you something, but hide what really matters. Now, let me tell you something nasty. Most of the profitable traders I know, they don't even have indicators on their chart. No EMAs, no trend lines, nothing. Why? Because real trading is decision-making under uncertainty, not checking if a line crossed another line. Indicators try to simplify chaos, but markets aren't simple. They're wild, manipulated, made to punish patterns that are easy to spot. Let me tell you how it works behind the curtain. When a retail crowd waits for the 50 EMA to cross the 200 EMA, brokers already position their orders before the cross. By the time you see it, the move's half done, or it's already reversing. You're not early, you're food. And trend lines, they're just hopes drawn on a chart. You're praying price respects it, but price ain't your friend. Price is a predator, and those lines, they're just bait. Want to know what matters more than any indicator? Time. Time reveals behavior, where price spent too long, where it moved too fast, where it keeps coming back. Those zones, they tell you more than any crossover ever will. I've seen traders delete all indicators, just focus on time and price behavior. They got better. Fast, because now they were watching what traders were doing, not what lines were saying. So here's my advice. You want to use an indicator? Fine. Use it like a rearview mirror, but drive by instinct, by feel, by raw understanding. Because at the end of the day, the chart doesn't care what's on it. But the ones who control price, they know exactly what you see, and that's why they win. Let's talk about why you believe in those indicators in the first place. No, seriously. Who told you they work? Some guy with a mic on YouTube? A Discord server with fake P&Ls? Maybe a trading course with 90% discount? That's always ending tonight. That's your first mistake. You trusted someone who never showed you the back end. Listen, the chart is not a puzzle you solve with crayons. It's a battlefield. And indicators, they're just toy binoculars. See, I've mentored traders who were obsessed. They'd stack EMAs, RSI, MACD, Fibonacci, Bollinger Bands all at once. Their charts looked like a Christmas tree. You know what happened? They waited for the stars to align, perfect signal, clean crossover, textbook touch, and by the time it all lined up, market was gone. It doesn't wait for your checklist. It moves on fear, liquidity, and pain. That's why the best traders trade what people are feeling, not what indicators are saying. Here's a story. A kid once came to me, said he had mastered the 3-touch trendline strategy. He showed me charts, back-tested for months, said it worked 70% of the time. I asked him, what happens when the 3rd touch is a trap? He froze. I said, kid, you don't trade the trend line, you trade what happens around it, and that's what you're missing. Indicators don't show you how people react. They don't show you fear in the candles. They don't tell you where the market is hunting stops. They just show you lag data in a pretty format. So what do real traders do? They track areas that make traders commit, where traders feel safe. Then watch how price behaves once they're in, because pain makes price move, not math, not shapes. So next time you feel smart drawing lines and waiting for crosses, ask yourself this: who's on the other side of this signal? Because if it's a bank and you're the one entering on the 3rd touch, well, friend, you're the liquidity. Let me tell you something ugly. Most indicators, they were never made for trading the way you think. You know what EMAs were made for? Smoothing price, not predicting the future, not catching reversals, not telling you when to buy a breakout. But here's what happens. A new trader shows up, watches a 10-minute tutorial, slaps on an 50 EMA and 200 EMA, waits for the crossover, clicks buy like it's a game. They think they're doing technical analysis. What they're really doing is astrology. Let me explain. An EMA crossover lags. By the time the fast EMA crosses the slow one, the move already started. You're not catching the trend. You're catching the middle, or worse, the end. And don't even get me started on the trend lines. They draw them however they want. Doesn't touch, they move it. Not clean, they force it. It's like they're negotiating with the market, like it'll listen if the line is thick enough. But the market doesn't care about your ruler. It cares about where money is sitting. That's what moves it. Liquidity pools, resting orders, trap zones. You won't find that in an EMA crossover. You won't find that with your triple arrow system. I once saw a trader use 7 indicators, said he needed confirmation, told him, son, if you need 7 tools to pull one trigger, you don't trust your edge, you're scared. And fear is not a strategy. The pros, they have one method, simple, clear. They know what they're looking for before the candle even forms. Why? Because they understand what the chart means, not just what it looks like. So here's my advice. If you want to stop bleeding, stop decorating your charts. Start reading the story the candles are telling. Forget confirmation. Learn conviction. Because in this game, you don't get paid to be right. You get paid to understand. You ever see a trader just freeze, like he's staring at the screen, waiting for the market to decide? Yeah, that's what indicators do to people. They make you dependent. You wait for the lines to cross. You wait for the RSI to dip. You wait for a 3rd touch on a trend line. And by the time all that happens, the market already moved. You showed up late to the party again. Let me ask you something. You ever see a lion wait for perfect conditions before it attacks? Oh wait, let me check if the gazelle's RSI is oversold. No, it watches. It reads movement. It understands weakness. Then it strikes. That's what real traders do. But modern traders, they're taught to become robots. Follow rules. Obey indicators. Don't think. Problem is, trading's not about rules. It's about reading intentions. Ask yourself, why did that candle stop there? Why did that wick form? Why was that high taken, then dumped? These are questions that don't need indicators. They need brain power. I've seen guys lose millions trusting a MACD divergence. I've also seen guys print money by reading just raw price. No lines, no signals, just eyes, just logic. But logic takes effort, and indicators, they're lazy. They give you an illusion of certainty. But this market ain't built on certainty. It's built on uncertainty management. Successful traders manage risk. Unsuccessful ones wait for green arrows. You pick which one you want to be. So here's what I tell every rookie. If you need a signal to tell you what to do, you're not ready to trade yet. You're still in the phase of copying. Real growth starts when you start questioning. Why is price there? Who got trapped? Who's in pain? That's the game. And trust me, it's not played on the indicator level. Let's talk about this shiny word everyone loves, backtesting. Oh boy, traders love saying, bro, I backtested this strategy for 3 years. It's 87% win rate. Really? And what did you trade next? Hopes or actual markets? See, backtesting is a dangerous drug. It feels smart. It feels productive. It makes you feel in control. But you're testing the past. You're playing in a world where you already know the answers. Of course it looks good. You see where the chart goes. You pick entries that match your bias. You skip the ugly ones that don't. You lie to yourself and call it data. But real trading, it's messy. It's emotional. It's got news bombs, liquidity grabs, sudden volatility. You don't get that in backtesting. You didn't flinch when a red candle dropped 80 pips. You didn't question your setup when the entry looked off. You didn't panic when your stop got wicked by 0.2 pips. You just clicked next, 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 until the wins looked nice. But guess what? The market doesn't care about your backtest. It's not obligated to repeat what it did in 2022 or 2020. It evolves, it adapts, it punishes patterns. So what's the fix? Forward test, paper trade, track emotions, test how your mind reacts, not just your charts. Because the real enemy, it's not your strategy, it's how you execute under pressure. You backtested without fear, you traded with full confidence. But when it's real money on the line, you hesitate, you rush, you revenge, and no spreadsheet can prepare you for that. So next time you hear someone say, this was backtested for years, ask them, how many times did you execute it live? How many days did you watch it without touching it? How many trades did you take at your worst mental state? That's the test that matters, not what your simulator says. Let me ask you a nasty little question. If your strategy wins 90% of the time, why are you still broke? Why are you still hopping from one system to another? Because here's the ugly truth. High win rate strategies usually come with even higher risk. Yeah, I said it. Let me explain. Most of these winning machines you're sold online, they win a lot because they risk a lot. Not in money, but in logic, in structure. They take tiny profits, but massive losses when they fail. So when they lose, they blow chunks of your account. Here's how it plays out. You take 10 trades, you win 9, and make $100 each. You feel like a beast. On the 10th trade, it tanks. You lose $1,000. Boom, gone. 9 wins erased in one dumb hit. Back to square one, emotionally and financially. Still proud of your high win rate. See, in real trading, it's not about how often you win. It's about how much you win when you win, and how little you lose when you're wrong. You ever meet a profitable trader who wins just 40% of the time? That guy's not a gambler. He's just smart. He lets his winners run. He cuts losers quick. He survives. Then he thrives. But you keep chasing perfection. You want a strategy that never loses. Good luck with that. Even casinos lose sometimes. But guess what they have? Edge, risk control, patience. That's what you need. Not some TikTok guru showing his MT4 95% win rate on demo. The market punishes those who seek comfort and high win rate strategies. They make you comfortable. They lull you into arrogance. Then they destroy you in one sharp move. So stop asking, what's the win rate? Start asking, what's the risk reward? How does it behave under stress? What happens when it loses? That's where real trading begins. In the losses, in the bounce back. Just follow the rules. Sounds easy, right? That's the mantra every mentor throws at you, as if you're some robot, as if all your problems will vanish if you follow a checklist. But let me tell you something ugly. Rules don't trade. You do. You think having a rule book makes you disciplined? Nah, rules are powerless without emotional strength. The problem ain't that you don't know what to do. The problem is, you can't do what you already know. Let me paint it real. Your rule says, don't enter before confirmation. Cool, but then you see price spike. Adrenaline kicks in. You panic. You enter early. It reverses. You lose. What happened? You didn't break the rule because you're dumb. You broke it because you're human. Here's another. Your rule says, risk only 1% per trade. Sounds safe, yeah? But now you've lost 4 trades in a row. You're mad. You double down on the 5th. It flops. Now you're down 8% in one swing. Again, rule existed. Discipline didn't. This is what no one tells you. Trading isn't about having rules. It's about having control over yourself when the rules hurt, because sometimes rules will deny you entry. Sometimes they'll tell you to sit and watch. Sometimes they'll cut your winners early. That's when traders crack. They start rewriting rules mid-trade. Or worse, they keep the rules only during backtests, not when real money's on the line. You think professional traders have magical rules? Nope. They have average rules, executed with extreme consistency. That's it. So here's the real question. Can you follow your rules in pain? Can you trust them when they stop working for a while? Can you not touch your screen when your brain is screaming, do something? If you can't, your rules are just decorations. They look good on a journal, but they won't save your account. Because this game, it ain't won by people who know what to do. It's won by people who can do it again and again while bleeding.